Everybody, what is going on? It is Friday, July 1st, first Friday of the month, so you already know what is going on. It is the live stream Friday here on the Torian Rain Reloaded channel. I also have it connected to my Twitter account as well. If you cannot come over to YouTube, that way you can watch it over there as well. You most likely just won't be able to comment, but then again, I don't really see what the the Twitter side is like. Let me go ahead and lower the volume on my phone because I'm going to need this later on to look at the chat. But what is going on, everybody? I hope everybody had a good week. Hope everybody's having a good Friday. Hopefully, everything is good with y'all, especially with all this craziness that's going on in the world today. Or this week, I should say. A lot of stuff has gone or happened just this week alone. As you can see, the title right there, those are just some of the topics that I'm going to be covering today. I couldn't squeeze all of them in there. I actually had to throw 3 more additional topics into this, which is why I'm starting this live at 5 instead of at 6. But to be honest, I think I might go back to starting the live streams at 5 o'clock since I do an upload at 12 and one at 5 and just count the live stream as that 5 o'clock upload. It's just a longer one because it's a stream. So let's see, who do we have in here so far? David, Blue Spider 225 Girl. Welcome all. Welcome. Be sure, if you have not done so already, to go ahead and hit that like button. Also hit that share button as well. That way we can get as many views as we can in here. If you are new, of course, make sure you hit that bell. And first off, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified when I go live. Ashton and Pinky JYB, how are y'all doing? This is a very interesting time, especially for the new black media, because there's some little shady stuff going on. Not with the people, but because of the content being kind of they're trying to weigh it down as they usually do. A lot of people were concerned about Professor Black Truth. First off, if you have a Twitter account and you follow Professor Black Truth, you'll understand what's going on with him. If y'all, I know many of y'all are already subscribed to him and y'all are used to seeing the Moment of Truth videos come across at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every single day. Well, in the Crime Report on Friday. Of course, that didn't happen this week because he ended up getting a strike on his channel. And I'm going to actually tell you how that happened. But if y'all are on Twitter, you know how it happened. So basically what happened was Professor Black Truth uploaded one of his Moment of Truth videos about Will Smith back in April, around that time, or maybe the week of when the Oscars incident happened with him and Chris Rock. And he made a video about it. And YouTube, the first time, came at it with putting an age restriction on the video, which is nowhere near is not as bad as having a strike. It's just that it actually kind of diminishes the views because some people might watch your content and they don't have an account. And if they don't have an account, then they won't be able to watch it because you have to basically sign into YouTube to watch it. So he appealed it and got the age restriction removed. Then almost an hour later, they came back and said that you got a strike on that same video. Now, that's very weird to me how that happened. He got a strike on a video that he just appealed for an age restriction to get the age restriction removed. So it's basically out for public viewing again and not limited viewing. So he ended up, getting a strike on it. And I guess he tried to appeal that strike and the appeal did not go through. And because of that, on YouTube, the punishment for one strike on your channel, minus the warning strike, of course, is you cannot upload any content or go live for a week on your channel. So that's what happened with him. And I think it happened on a Tuesday. So that means that at the time that the strike happened is when the strike will be, is when the penalty will be lifted, not the strike itself. The strike stays on his channel for 90 days. So he won't be able to upload again until Tuesday, but the strike will remain on his channel until like September. And then once the strike is gone, once that strike period is up, then it's removed and it basically resets. I know that from experience. It's no fun, trust me. The same thing almost recently happened with Afro Elite. I think he did a live stream and then YouTube blocked some of his content or one of the videos for a quote unquote copyright. Those are no fun to get either. Copyright strikes are the worst strikes to get. I know that from experience too. The community, the strike, no one wants to strike, but the community, the copyright strike is one of the worst ones because they're harder to appeal. And I didn't Karen Grant said, first time catching the live stream, you kind of look like Ludacris. Listen, I get that all the time. I get that all the time. That's not in the Kawhi Leonard one too. I get that comparison, those two comparisons all the time. So I don't feel a way about it. And I know that my live stream said 6 p.m. on there, and I went and I started to go live at 5. For some reason on Restream, I don't know why. It doesn't allow you to change the time on there. But I'm glad y'all are in here right now. So y'all must have gotten the notification some way or in some form or fashion. But yeah, recently YouTube sent me an email, and when I say recently, I'm talking about this week, that they ended up age restricting a video that I uploaded on my channel back in 2019 about a video about a man who offed himself at an airport. Now it's crazy because it's like they put an age restriction on a video that I did back in 2019. You know what I did? I just went and deleted the video because I don't need them trying to do anything slick and come back and say, oh, we're going to put a strike on it. Nope. I just ended up deleting the video. But yeah, so the new black media is under a little bit of attack right now. But shout out to Kid Gravity because he said that this would most likely happen because this is the month when it starts to get a little bit crucial coming into election season. Like this month going forward all the way for the rest of the year, that's when it gets real crucial for election time. And this is an election year. A strike, Ashton, you talking about the strike for me? Well, I didn't get a strike. Are you talking about the strike for Professor Black Truth? If you're talking about that, I think they said that it was for harassment or cyberbullying. And I think it had something to do with the title of the video. I think that's what it was. But knowing YouTube, it could be just about anything. That's why if I ever do videos talking about a certain interaction between a certain group of people and a certain being that's not human, if y'all get my drift, I have to be very careful how I title those videos. Because if I put up the word of the act in the title, I will get a strike. And I know that from 2 instances of that happening. So I have to be very careful with how I title certain videos or how I title the videos, period. Like I can't, if I could title the videos the way that I really wanted to, oh, it would be a wrap. But yep, that's the story. And that's why I've been posting Professor Black Truth's Moment of Truth videos on my community tab so people can see them. Because he's using Vimeo right now, and I know everybody doesn't have Vimeo, and I know a lot of you don't have a Twitter account and follow him where you could actually see it when he posts them. And y'all are used to, YouTube sending out the notification. But that's the reason why, because a lot of people thought his video, like a lot of people thought his channel was gone. A lot of people thought, what happened. I said, no, his channel is still up. It's just that he got a strike, so he couldn't upload for a week. But he'll be back next week for sure. And I'm almost certain that when he comes back, he will most likely upload a video about that. I'm almost certain of it. But shout out to the people that clicked on the link and was actually able to go over there and talk about it. Well, not talk about it, but watch it. So in hindsight, that's more so going to be his backup, which I think is smart to have his backup off of the platform where his main channel is at. And it's crazy because how this happened, because guess what? Professor Black Truth is almost at 100,000 subscribers. This is probably the longest he's ever had a channel be up. Because I remember when they used to kill his channel when he would get to like 50K and some change. But he's almost at 100K. He's like less than 3,000 away. And then this happens. Sorry if I'm not really like, looking at some of the comments, is that if I talk about this and I look at the comments, it'll throw me off. But speaking of, it is now 5:10. I just wanted to open up with that. That was kind of my intro. It is officially 5:10. So now what I'm gonna go ahead and do is share my screen, and we're gonna go ahead and start getting into these topics. And yes, Exalted Georgia Aborigine, always keep a backup channel, which I do have. The Rain in Real Time is the backup channel. I need to push that more though, and I'll probably put it in the community tab, just telling people to go over there and subscribe to that channel, just in case, because you never know. But anyway, the first topic we're going to be talking about today wasn't one of the ones I was originally going to have, but since it happened this week, why not? The first topic we're going to be talking about today is Ghislaine Maxwell and her sentencing of 20 years, not long enough in my opinion, in prison for the role she played in helping take people on the Lolita Express to Pedo Island. I'll just put it like that. So it says Ghislaine Maxwell, the jet-setting socialite who once consorted with royals, presidents, and billionaires, was sentenced to 20 years in prison Tuesday for helping the wealthy financier Jeffrey Epstein abuse underage girls. The stiff sentence, if you want to call it that, was the punctuation mark on a trial that explored the sordid rituals of a predator power couple who courted the rich and famous as they lured vulnerable girls as young as 14 and then exploited them. Honestly, she should have got way more than that, but we know why she didn't. They also said that they put her on suicide watch and a host of other things. Well, we know what happened to her partner in crime when he was put under suicide watch. We know exactly what happened with that. So if she ends up, quote unquote, taking herself out, people are going to look at that with a side eye. I'm not even gonna lie. I still want to see that list. I still want to know what names they have on that list. I need to know that. I feel like they need to release those names, but we know they're not going to do that. So they're going to treat it as just speculation. Didn't Prince Andrew, didn't he take himself out last year when it got exposed that he was a part of that too? That guilt got to him. That guilt took him right up out of there. Let me see what y'all talking about in the chat. Someone said no less than R. Kelly. 225 girl says she won't make it to see that 20. I think she will have the same fate like Epstein did. Exalted Georgia Aborigine says she should have gotten life. Karen says she's about to be found with 2 self-inflicted gunshot wounds to the back of her head. Just watch. Oh, y'all said he's still alive. Wasn't it? But I could have sworn it was somebody that was connected to this that took themselves out. Maybe I misread it. I'm not sure. DeCarlo says she needs to say names, very high up people. Yeah, well, we'll see. I'm not going to hold my breath if she does or if she doesn't. Gentleman Ready said they treated Meghan Markle worse than, yeah, because that little bit of that little piece of that black blood in her, that little piece right there, they can't seem to fade that, and they won't. My thing is this: if she comes up removed from the union, I put it like that, people are gonna be like, oh, they did her like they did Epstein, and they still holding on to the thing of Epstein killed himself. Come on now, like how dumb do they think the public is? Karen said Prince Andrew got shut out of his royal duties and basically has been in hiding ever since. I can believe it. But yeah, I don't know if she's going to drop any names or not. And my thing is that she does start dropping the names. What is that going to mean? That's the bigger question. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the next story. And many of you already know that if I'm talking about her, y'all already know who I'm talking about next. And that is R. Kelly. So, R. Kelly, ironically, got sentenced the day after Ghislaine Maxwell did. Yeah, he was sentenced on, I think, the 29th, and she was sentenced on the 28th. Now, what major difference do we have here? She got 20 years and he got 30. He got 10 more years than she did. Honestly, she should have gotten way more than what she received, considering the layers upon layers involving her case. But they've been going after R. Kelly for a long, long time. And I'm almost certain, quote unquote, Me Too feels just absolutely great about it. But what's crazy about this is now that they got in R. Kelly, they gonna find a new nigga to go after. And I still feel like when it comes to this R. Kelly situation, there's so many more questions that need to be answered. Like, why are those parents not on trial for taking their kids to go be with R. Kelly? Exalted said he got more time because he didn't have the complexion for the protection. Well, I mean, that's pretty obvious. That's pretty damn obvious. But I have a feeling that they're going to appeal it for sure. But look at this. It said he was placed on suicide watch. This just came out today. He was placed on suicide watch after being sentenced to 30 years in prison. So they are saying they have a fear that R. Kelly is going to take himself out. That's what they have a fear, or they're just coming out and saying that because of the amount of time that he's that he's receiving. They said he was sentenced this week to 30 years in prison on racketeering and sex trafficking charges. They said, but the disgraced R&B singer is not suicidal. Attorney Jennifer Bonjean told CNN she believes adding Kelly had been fearful of being put on suicide watch. So they're even coming out saying that why are they even putting him on suicide watch because he's not suicidal? What are you trying to say? What are you trying to imply by putting him on suicide watch when he's not suicidal? Noam King said they got R. Kelly because his masters are worth $950 million, and he is in the process of gaining full ownership of them, just like Michael Jackson and Prince. In that case, Chris Brown need to watch his back because then he'd get his masters a couple years ago, and he just released his album Breezy, which, oh my God, that album is so good from beginning to end. I listened to the whole album when I was on my way to I think I was on my way to Costco one day, and I was like, this is a good album. And the best part about it is that he gets all the publishing rights from it. So I love it. Ashton said, and he's dyslexic. Yeah, he is. Yeah, and that's another thing. They never talk about the abuse that R. Kelly went through growing up. R. Kelly went through a lot of abuse from female family members. They don't like to talk about that. They don't like to talk about what could have possibly led R. Kelly down the path that he's on, because that'll be too much like right. DeCarlo said guitar player in his band was the girl's father. He knew what was going on. Cousin, who was an artist on R. Kelly's label, was her cousin. She knew if dad knew and consented. And speaking of that, I believe R. Kelly's brother came out and basically said that it was him that was doing all of this stuff. But they're not going to try to take the side of the brother, even if hypothetically saying it was true. They're just saying, oh, he's just saying that to cover for his brother in a way to try to get him out of jail. But who knows? His brother could have been involved. Just like the whole situation with Michael Vick in the dogfighting thing years ago. They got Michael Vick on that, but he wasn't there. But because it was on his property and it was his cousins doing it, and because Michael Vick was the bigger name, they decided to go after Michael Vick. So for all intents and purposes, R. Kelly's brother could be telling the truth, but because he's not R. Kelly, he doesn't have a name or a title besides just being the brother of R. Kelly. They're not gonna deal with him. They feel like, what can I gain just getting R. Kelly's brother? Like that's not newsworthy. Exalted Georgia said they use an ancient racist law to railroad him, the Mann Act. And notice that they do stuff like that when it comes to black people. Remember when Bill Cosby, they completely broke the statute of limitations law of what, 10 years, and went back to the 70s. We're talking about damn near 50 years ago. Over, if you to be technical, depending on what part of the 70s you're talking about. To go and try to get some more stuff on Bill Cosby. The black informant says Michael Vick is being sued. No, I'm not. No, Michael Vick is not being sued. I was bringing up Michael Vick with the dogfighting situation and how they went after him even though he wasn't there, but because it was on his property, they went after him because he was the bigger name. He wasn't involved with it. His cousins were, or his cousin was. And I was saying how with R. Kelly's brother, he's coming out saying that he was the one that was pretty much the main one involved with it. And I said they're not going to go after R. Kelly's brother because he's just R. Kelly's brother. No one knows who he is. He doesn't have the name. Why would we go after little fish when we can go after the big fish? Ashton said, what happened to that thing where they said he was messing with boys? I did not believe that one for 1 second. I said, now they're just trying to pull anything out of their ass with this one. I didn't believe that for 1 second. I said, that's not even R. Kelly's style. Like, where did that come from? That was one of them here today, gone tomorrow type of stories. They literally did that with an attempt to try to get him on anything. I said, if anything, people should have really stuck on that one to see how far they would actually go to get this man by making up some lie that he was messing with little boys. I guess they figure if we can destroy Michael Jackson's reputation by hammering that into people's heads, even though we know none of that was true, but you still have some people out there that believe it, then we can do the same thing with R. Kelly. But that whole thing messing with boys, even people who don't like R. Kelly was like, what are you doing? You're messing up your case by saying that he allegedly inappropriately touched boys. Like, no, nah. I didn't believe that for 1 second. But we'll see what comes of this. But I'm almost certain that his lawyers are going to appeal this because while people will say that now here's the thing, nobody is saying that R. Kelly should not pay the price for the crimes he's committed. No one's saying that. But 30 years, that's excessive, especially when you have Ghislaine Maxwell, who we know was involved with doing what she did, got less time. So let's just put that on the table. No one is saying that R. Kelly should not get any time or he should not pay the price for the crimes in which he's committed. But 30 years is excessive. But we know they always bend the rules when it comes to black people. But let me now go on and move to the next story of an individual who ended up getting their freedom for time they should not have received. And that is Mohammad Noor. We all know who Mohammad Noor is. He was the Somalian American cop who accidentally, since they don't want to say it, accidentally shot and killed Justine, the Australian woman, a few years ago. on accident. He got pretty much railroaded, but shining light at the end of the tunnel, he has now been released from custody after spending over 3 years behind bars. This is the former Minneapolis police officer who fatally shot an unarmed woman while responding to her 911 call in 2017. It seems so much longer. It seems so much longer ago than that. Was released from prison Monday after serving over 3 years behind bars, according to online records from the Minnesota Department of Corrections. They said he was convicted of third-degree murder and manslaughter in the death of Justine, who called 911 on the night of July 15, 2017, to report a possible sexual assault in an alley behind her house. Oops, sorry about that. Damn, I lost the damn article. Hold on, y'all. Let me pull it back up. And while I'm at it, there's something else I need to bring up too for another particular topic that I forgot about. Hold on. All right, let's get back into it. All right. So he's being released from prison. I'm almost certain that her family and the guy that she was engaged to get married to is probably pissed behind this. I am not. I am not. Because whenever black cops, because this guy may be Somali American, but like I always tell people, when you come here under the umbrella of Dub S, you are seen as a nigga. And to those who are outside of the FBA I would say confines, y'all will learn sooner or later. When you are a black cop, you get different treatment than all of your PC counterparts. Unless that PC counterpart goes off script and they get dealt with accordingly. I actually have a video coming up soon talking about just that, but I'm gonna leave that one right there. So he was released from prison, and honestly, I think they only put him in prison to quote unquote teach him a lesson, quote unquote, or maybe it was a fear type of thing, because they only got him on third-degree murder. They were determined to find him guilty no matter what. Because I believe they got a call from the Australian government where she was from and basically put pressure on them to actually find him guilty. Like, I don't think that if the Australian government got involved, this man would have spent 1 day in jail. But because they got involved, they said, okay, we'll do it. We'll go ahead and do it and satisfy you. Jerome said Blue Lives Matter was never interested in this case whatsoever. Don't even know one white media covering this. Right? They kind of stuck on it a little bit, but not a lot. They talked about it like up until the point when he went to jail, and then they just kind of faded off of it. Just like with this bit of news, it's not really plastered everywhere. And like Blue Spider said, those who are aware of it are most likely upset because of this, because they feel like he killed one of ours and we are in the midst of this Roe versus Wade thing. He just took out one of our lifelines. So there you go. Now I'm almost certain that he won't be a cop again. And honestly, if I was in his shoes, I wouldn't want to be. I mean, you've already tarnished my name. You ran it through the mud. I had to spend 3 years in jail. Why would I want to go back to that? So he's pretty much got to start his life all over. Look at this. It says Minnesota's highest court vacated the third-degree murder conviction last year, saying there was insufficient evidence to sustain it. He was then resentenced to 4 years and 9 months in prison under the manslaughter charge. So listen to that. He was they ended up throwing out the third-degree murder conviction, but then came back and got him on the manslaughter charge. So they were determined to keep him there. They said for 4 years and 9 months on the manslaughter charge. Because I think they was going to go for a higher charge than the third degree murder, but they couldn't get anything. First degree was not going to happen because it definitely wasn't premeditated. Second degree, they really couldn't get him on either. So they said, let's get him on the third degree. At least we have a chance with this one. They were trying to get him at all costs, and even that slightly didn't work. So okay, let's get him on manslaughter. Did a little bit of time, but now he's out. And hopefully they throw in the double jeopardy thing where they can't try to get him again. But then again, we live in America, so who knows how that'll go. Exalted Georgia Aborigine says Somalians are whites in America. Well, all of them except him it must not work for him then. Because I'm gonna tell you this right now. You take out one of them, if there was a white status to be held by them, it's ripped up, tossed away, burned in the fire, in the dumpster, down the drain. But someone did make a good point, though. Blue Lives Matter didn't say shit. They let this man hang on his own. We be trying to tell them black cops, you only good until they can't use you anymore or have use for you anymore. Still Rain said we have the third largest Somalian community here in Columbus, Ohio, in the country. Somehow I can believe that. I find that a lot of Somalians live in the upper, like the Midwest, or in those areas like here in Minnesota or Ohio, or in those areas. I find a lot of them dwell there. But yeah, they'll be upset about this. They'll cry, they'll bitch and moan and complain about it like they usually do, but it is what it is at the end of the day. So let's move forward with this. And we are going to go to this one. And this is the one about the Miranda rights. Excuse, this ad has nothing to do, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, with this story right here. So everyone is aware of what Miranda rights is. That's the whole thing that they read to you when you're being placed under arrest. You know, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. If you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be appointed to you, so on and so on and so forth. Do you understand your rights? Those are the Miranda rights. Well, when they did the overturning of Roe versus Wade, this I would say last month now, because it's a new month, this one got caught up in the crossfire of it, and it was a talks of them possibly getting rid of the Miranda rights. But now you have them saying that law enforcement is still required to read you your Miranda rights. I say for right now, and I'm gonna be honest, some law enforcement does not read you your Miranda rights, which if they do not, by law, you can sue them for doing so, and you most likely could have whatever possible case that could have been held against you thrown out. But if they were to overturn the Miranda rights and not have to read them, they could just scoop you up for whatever. This would give more power again into the hands of law enforcement, as if they need any more power. And I just saw Noam King's comment. Peace out to you, and I'm glad that you was able to come through. Still Rain said, I've seen people get arrested before and they wasn't read their Miranda rights. That's what I was saying. Some people that have been arrested and they've never gotten their Miranda rights read to them. But that's probably just a small few. If they was to make this legal, that's the masses at that point. Karen said cops are mostly cowards with guns and immunity for murder. Speaking of immunity, that's what they need to get rid of. That's what they need to get rid of, is that qualified immunity. That qualified immunity has been protecting law enforcement, these cops, for ages. If they took away qualified immunity from cops, man, it would probably be so many cops that will quit the force. That's one of the major things that gives them invincibility, is that qualified immunity. I remember when I had a chance to look that up, what qualified immunity was, I said, yeah, they need to get rid of that across the board, especially in a lot of these corrupt departments. Still Rain said, to be honest with you, the only time I've ever heard Miranda rights spoken is on TV. Right, that's the only time I've ever heard it too, is on TV. Because with the Miranda rights in place, if somebody goes to court and they get arrested and it's like going on trial, and the person can prove that they did not get Mirandized, as they say, then that whole trial that whole case could get thrown out. But if they take this away, that pretty much removes that chance of suing them or anything else that could go in your favor. You would now really have to fight with them. Abdi said it is hard to defund police because police is the arm of the state, but getting rid of qualified immunity is a must. Yeah, it definitely is. But they're not going to do that. I highly doubt they're going to do that. They should. It don't mean that they will. And we know why they won't. Because that takes more power away from them. A lot of these cops are on power trips. To take away their power makes them feel weak. Shoot, some of them are weak with it, honestly. Ashley said that don't forget they have open white supremacists in the department. Oh, without a doubt. A lot of gang members are in those departments as well, like, or have gang affiliations. That's not lost on me at all. That is not lost on me at all when it comes to them. But let me go ahead and move on to the next story. Oh, y'all knew I was going to talk about this one right here. Y'all knew I was going to talk about this chick right here. Mary Miss White, Preserve White Life Miller. I will say this. She said the quiet part out loud. Many of us already knew that this is how they felt from the jump, but many of them never say it out loud. Now, what's interesting about this is that she won her primary. So she won the position she was running for. And she feels, I guess, hey, I won, so let me go ahead and tell it like it is. So Mary Miller, who I actually heard that she had said some things about, Nazis and whatnot. And by the way, it doesn't surprise me this is in Illinois, because I remember when it was in Illinois or Indiana on my sundown series. I forgot what state it was. I stayed in there for the longest for sundown times, but I think it might have been Illinois. And remember, Harvey, and shout out to Your World, has talked about how Chicago is a very segregated city. But anyway, Mary Miller basically got up on that podium and thanked Donald Trump in support of preserving white life. Now, they tried to clean it up and try to say that it was a Freudian slip. That wasn't no damn Freudian slip. She meant exactly what she said. We are not going to allow them to say that that was a Freudian slip. She meant every word that she said. Gentleman Rated said, apparently I heard she has black grandchildren. Don't they all? Don't they all? Like I said, they're trying to save the inevitable. They are trying to see this thing all the way through to the end. They know they are on borrowed time. So we know what she's down for. She's not down with pro-choice. She's down with pro-life, preferably the procreation of life with PC. Now I'm sure she's since then has already smashed into the wall, so she's not bearing any more children. And like Harvey said in his videos about her, they have a script that's written. I'm almost certain white life was not in that script. She inserted that in there because that's how she felt at the moment. Now imagine if a black politician got up there and said, "Thank you for helping to preserve black life with this decision of overturning Roe v. Wade." Could you imagine what the response would have been? I mean, I want y'all to think about that for a second. It makes you wonder what the response would have been. And Ashton said, see, we can respect them when they're honest with themselves. Exactly. This right here, this is the type of person that I like because they're overt with it. I don't need to try to figure out what her mindset is. I already know based on her what she said about the preservation of white life with the overturning of Roe v. Wade. I now know where she stands. I don't have to try to dig to figure her out. Oh, if a black politician got up there, they would have been saying, oh, how racist that is, how divisive that is, and you know, all the talking points, all the talk, all of them, every last one of them. You can guarantee that. But what got me with though is that how the people in the back row was responding to it. Like they were sitting back there just clapping so hard. I'm like, did y'all hear what she said? I said, did y'all hear what she said? Or y'all just clapping just because she started clapping, you just started clapping. Right, Ash, and they would have been saying how woke it is if a black person got up there and said that. Oh, that's so, yeah. They love the overextended use of that word. But we're going to see where this goes, because I'm telling you, that overturning of Roe v. Wade really set some people out there, and that's actually going to be one of the topics I'm going to talk about in here when I get to that portion of the stream. Gentleman Ray said there were like two black people in the background when she made that statement. They look stupid. I saw that. I made sure to look at their face as much as I could when she said it. I think one of them like had his head down. I think one of them was in his phone. One of them, they probably was caught off guard. They were probably caught off guard. But yeah. So the people in Illinois, y'all got to let me know how she is, because she's a representative for your state. Now let's move on to this next story right here. Okay. So some of you may or may not be aware of this story right here. I didn't get an opportunity to do a video about it, and I said, let me just go ahead and save it for the stream. And I'm going to play this video and see what they're talking about.
In a Fox 17 News crime alert, an arrest made for Monday's deadly stabbing of this 14-year-old girl. Now, Metro Police say 16-year-old Isabel Jackson stabbed Malia Powell to death with a pocket knife. Police say the two did not know each other, but they got in an argument inside the Walmart over on Dickerson Pike, and that argument continued near a bus stop outside, which led to that stabbing.
Okay, so y'all see this right here. And first, before I get into it, RIP to this girl that you see on the screen. Her name was Malia Powell. That's her right there. Stabbed to death at a Walmart with a pocket knife. Now, when I first heard about it, they didn't reveal who did it. They just only talked about her being killed, but they didn't say who did it. So some people were assuming that it was an adult who did it. But then we find out later that it was this chick that did it right here. Now, doesn't she look a little bit, I don't know, Asian? She looks like Asian. She looks like she could be, she could be a hybrid or something, but Asian is definitely mixed up in there. And I can tell she crazy because she got that lip piercing. And not the one that sits on the side of the lip, but the one that's in right here. Right there. She got one here and the one in the eyebrow. Now, as of right now, they don't know what actually caused the confrontation, but it was enough for her to pull out her knife and stab her to death. Keep in mind, she's 16 and she was 14. Now, this story is not getting nearly as enough traction as it should. I need to know if I have any Tennessee subscribers in the chat right now, preferably those who live in Nashville or around the Nashville area. Were you aware of this story? Because it's not really making any traction at all. And it happened, it was dated June 23rd, 2022. 225 girl said her photo shot looks like, yeah, I did it. So yeah, it is giving that kind of that look of, yeah, I did what I did. So what? Like no remorse. She's not even looking at the camera. I always tell people, the people who take their mugshot pictures, whenever they're not looking directly at the camera, when they're taking their mugshot and they're looking away, it gives off this feeling to me that they just don't give a fuck. Like they don't care. Now, I will say this, when this first happened, one of the things that I saw, at least from the people that I follow on Twitter, because that's how I found about the story. I found a lot of stuff on Twitter. You had a lot of people tagging a lot of these Asian, quote unquote, hate crime pages and stuff that likes to put out propaganda about black people and tagging them in it. And sure enough, when you go to their pages, if you have access to it, nowhere did they talk about this story, because that would go against their narrative. Now, if the roles were reversed and she did what she did to her what she did to her, then you already know they would have been on it, because then they'll have something to quote unquote talk about. Chris G says she got that Kill Bill go-go ish going on. Yeah, all she would need is the schoolgirl outfit and that ball, that metal, that ball chain. Still Rain said it won't get traction because remember when that Asian professor tried to kill the black professor because she was in love? Oh yeah, I remember that. That happened this year, right? I believe that happened this year. I believe that happened, or was that last year? I remember that. Yep. I remember that story because I remember talking about it. Lime Joe said we would never hear the end of it. And you're right, we wouldn't. We wouldn't. Now, I'd like to know what actually led up to that. Like, what caused her to actually do that? And I wouldn't be surprised if this girl right here, Malia Powell, started beating the shit out of her or started hitting her, and to get the best of her, she pulled out her knife and stabbed her. I wouldn't be surprised. They said, according to the police, the two didn't know each other but had words inside of a Walmart. The confrontation continued into the parking lot and near a WeGo bus stop. So this thing was moving. Like, it started in one place to another place and ended at another place. So they had some serious words with each other. Now, one of the things they tried to counter with when it came to her was, why was she at this? Oh, sorry about that. Why was she at this Walmart by herself? Because I don't believe that Malia or this Isabel chick were with any adults. So you had two minors that were not with adults. They were just out and about. Not saying, that's necessarily a bad thing, because I'll admit, when I was younger, I used to go places when my parents weren't around. But that was a different time too. So, when I was 14, that was back in '03. That's a way far cry from 2022. If y'all see any trolls in here, and shout out to Still Rain for getting that troll up out of there. Make sure y'all go ahead and block them. Don't even ask any questions, just block them. Okay, Made from Dust in the Ground says she looks like she's from the Philippines. Then Blue Spider came back and said she's Filipino. Last I checked, isn't the Philippines over there? So there's that. I wouldn't be surprised if she called her the N-word in the midst of this altercation that they had. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if that was the case. But RIP to this girl and condolences to her family. And hopefully I can try to see what comes of this involving her. In my honest opinion, charge her ass as an adult. Charge her as an adult. Again, I say charge her ass as an adult. I don't care if y'all got to have her sitting at a detention center until she's 18. Get her ass up out of there. Now let's move on to another story. Now this story right here is crazy, but the correlation that it has with another infamous story makes it even more wild. So you have this woman right here whose name is Mickey Smith, and looking at her is very hard to believe that she is the same age as me, who pulled or did a James Byrd or committed a James Byrd on a black woman. Now we all know who James Byrd is. James Byrd was the black man who was attached to a pickup truck back in the 90s, late 90s, and was dragged for miles and literally getting dismembered while he was being dragged. Well, we have that happening right now with this story right here, but the only difference is her victim survived, luckily. It says she was accused of striking and dragging another woman with her car and was indicted on an attempted murder charge, and rightfully so. A woman accused of intentionally hitting and dragging another woman with her car in West Columbus earlier this month was indicted on several charges, including attempted murder. Mickey Smith was also indicted on felonious assault and tampering with evidence charges in connection to the June 3rd hit and run. Smith was arguing with the woman on Sullivan Avenue and accused her of stealing. Smith struck the woman with her 2005 Honda Accord and dragged her underneath the vehicle for more than 1,500 feet. Police found the woman severely injured in an alley just west of the Union Avenue. The woman suffered numerous broken bones, lost a substantial amount of skin, and had an arm amputated. She lost her arm. Police filed an arrest warrant for Smith and arrested her last week. Her bond was set at $750,000 over the weekend. She should not have had a bond. She should have no bond for that. And they said she's scheduled to be arraigned on July 5th, which of course they have to do it on Tuesday because the Monday is the 4th. She should have no bond.
And tonight we have new details on a major drug bust. Federal agents arrested and charged 10 people in Columbus today. They were found with several drugs, including fentanyl, heroin, cocaine, meth, and marijuana. Officials
Sorry about that, y'all. I don't know, that ad just kind of popped up. That's why I hate when these ads pop up like that, and I don't even know where they pop up at. But it actually popped up on the screen, but I didn't know where. But yeah, sorry about that. But anyway, back to this. When I heard about the story, I immediately thought of James Byrd. And now hearing that this woman had to get her arm amputated, which means it was so much damage to her arm. Her arm was probably literally hanging on by a thread. And they said, we can't save this, so we're going to have to cut it off. Like, that's literally what happened. But I will say this, she is extremely lucky to be alive. Sir, oh, salute to you. Exactly, Gentleman Radio says, a miracle that she survived. It really is. It really is. Christian Roberts, they need to arrest Carolyn Bryant. It's so many things that should be done to Carolyn Bryant that I can't say on here, that to the point where arrest is actually on the bottom of the list for me. But arrest most likely is what's going to happen or should happen. But it's at the bottom of the list of things that I believe should happen to her for me. What I find to be very interesting is that they found this arrest warrant for Carolyn Bryant after how many years? Then it's 70 years or something like that, or more, in a basement. They didn't have the wherewithal to even destroy the warrant. They just kept it in a basement. Now, I wonder if they knew it was down in that basement, how convenient, and now they go and get that warrant. But as far as this chick goes, someone said it in the chat, she deserves the death penalty. Hey, I'm all for it, especially since the ones that killed James Byrd, they all got the death penalty, every last one of them, and they all dead now. Like, the last one went out on back in 2019. So I say, put her up on that gurney. That's all I can say. Put her ass on that gurney and give her the lethal cocktail. And let that be that. She doesn't deserve to live. And that woman because you gotta think, even though that woman survived with those injuries, her life is forever changed because of that. That woman is going, literally, I don't even know how she's gonna be able to sleep at night knowing what this woman did. But let me move on. Okay, I couldn't pick a definitive article to talk about when it came to Clarence Thomas. So I just typed Clarence Thomas's name into Google and put Roe v. Wade there and just click the news tab and just like put it right here. So we all know again what happened with the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Okay. And we all know how much of a coon Clarence Thomas is. I have given him the title of King Coon for a reason. My reasoning, just in case y'all are unaware, is because of what his decision was when it came to Troy Davis. Troy Davis was a black man back in 2011 who was wrongfully executed for a crime in which he did not commit. They had the proof that he didn't do it. All they needed was a certain amount of signatures to get him released. That was it. 2 signatures went against it. That was Anthony Scalia and Clarence Thomas. And because of that, Troy Davis is deceased and shouldn't be. So is Anthony Scalia, and it is what it is. But Clarence Thomas, when I learned he was one of those signatures, I got so heated. And from that day forward, I have had nothing but disdain towards this man. Like, that trial will forever stay embedded in my head. That was back in 2011. So let's fast forward to this. Roe v. Wade's been overturned, and it's many SCOTUS's up there. Supreme Court of the United States of America, or the Supreme Court of the United States is up there. Not just Clarence Thomas, it's others up there. But he's the only black man up there, so his face stands out like a sore thumb. Then it doesn't help that he's married to that Ursula-looking chick from The Little Mermaid in the role she played with January 6th. So that doesn't help him either. And he basically, after they overturned it, he decided to open the dust, the cobwebs out of his mouth, and open up his mouth and say, you know what? It's not just enough to go against Roe, to overturn Roe v. Wade. Let's overturn same-sex marriages, or people who have, rights for those who are in the academy, and some other things. Here's where he messed up. He decided to open his mouth and say something. He should have kept his mouth shut, because by him saying that, he put a target on his own back. Because like I said, the overturning of Roe v. Wade was not just on him. It was on the others as well. They got the amount of signatures that they needed in order to overturn it, but he was not the only deciding factor. But when he made his presence be known and decided to talk, now they're going to hone in on you. And it's funny because people were saying, I bet you he won't touch Loving versus Virginia. And I said, I bet you he won't either. I said, I bet you he won't either. I know he ain't going to touch Loving versus Virginia, which of course we all know is making interracial marriage legal. And seeing as how he is in interracial marriage himself, he's not going to touch that. But what I have to say is, first off, let me just give this disclaimer. What I'm going to say is in by no way defense of Clarence Thomas at all. Let me just put that up. Let me just put that out there. What I'm about to say is in no defense of Clarence Thomas. However, what was said to Clarence Thomas was more so an indictment on Black people. Why do I say that? Because when you had some of these quote unquote liberals, especially these PC female liberals, come out and say some of the stuff that they said about Clarence Thomas, that was them using him as a proxy to come at Black people. You had some of these PC women calling him the N-word and all types of stuff like that, while trying to it was almost like a passive aggressive type of thing, like, think of your ancestors and stuff like that, but throw the N-word in there. I forgot what the tweet actually said. I think Tariq had tweeted it or retweeted it on his Twitter account. And I said, if she would have just took or left the N-word out of it, then we know she was just talking about Clarence Thomas. We would have had no issue. But when she put that word in there, then that's when, okay, they're using him as a proxy. They're quote unquote talking about him, but they're really talking about us. Then there was another one, and this wasn't even a PC person. This was a Nigerian who pretty much got his ass handed to him on the slab, because he had posted a tweet this week where he was talking about Clarence Thomas and how his ancestors should have been lynched, basically saying that if that would have happened, then Clarence Thomas wouldn't be here. Keep in mind that Clarence Thomas would be considered FBA. So his ancestors are linked to my ancestors and every other ancestor whose lineage goes back to the 1800s and the killing fields of antebellum slavery. This was a Nigerian man that said that. Well, pull-up season has begun. That's why I said, if y'all ain't on Twitter, y'all need to be on Twitter and be following the right people, because y'all missing out. Some of y'all are on there, so y'all know what I'm talking about. And shout out to Gemini605 for the dono. He's a salute fan. Keep exposing the nonsense. I appreciate it. But anyway, this person worked at Pace University in New York. You had some FBA. For those of you who don't know what FBA is, that means Foundation of Black Americans. Not he, but you had FBA literally pull up to the institution in which he worked at, or at least where he used to work at, according to Pace University, and was like, look, we need to talk to one of your staff about some stuff that he said on Twitter. Now, again, this is not me defending Clarence Thomas at all. But when you say something like that, now we have to defend our lineage. So they pulled up, and then Pace University actually responded in one of the tweets and saying that he no longer works there, or basically Pace University laid out all the 411 about him on Twitter. But anyway, to make a long story short, this guy got so much pushback, and he should have, that he ended up deleting the tweet. But we truly believe he deleted the tweet because Twitter made him delete it, because it would go against their guidelines. He, in our opinion, did not delete that tweet on his own merit. But it was enough of us to go at him to make him remove the post. See, it's gotten to the point where FBA in particular have gotten sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm sure y'all have all heard of that before. We have taken it on the chin for so long from so many people that we are over it. Now, the pull-up summer of the past, we know that has happened, but that was mainly against PC people. I've seen it happen, I believe, 2 times, and one of them, I think both of them happened in the same summer. One of them was in New Jersey, and the other one, I believe, was in South Carolina. But that's just letting people know that pull-up season for FBA can happen to anybody who gets out of line. Anybody. Because, like I said, we've always been seen as the group that has been put on the bottom, and have been systemically. We've always had demands, especially when it came to reparations and tangibles. They want to listen. Okay, fine. So we're going with another plan. And I'm going to be quite honest with you. Nobody does a pull-up quite like we can. And it's been proven. Crystal Chin said he deleted the tweet for his record to be clean when his next employer searches him. It won't be gone. And you know why, Crystal? Because we live in the age of screenshot. It'll be nothing for anyone who screenshotted that tweet to send that to whoever his next employer is, and like, look, this is who you hired. And what's scary is this guy worked at a university that probably had FBA students in his class. So imagine being in his class and finding out that's how he feels about your lineage. And it's not hard to find. Oh, and SBF, I'm glad you said that. On Twitter, and I think I've said this before, but I'll say it again for those of you who don't have a Twitter account. On Twitter, it's a search bar. You can type the person's name into the search bar and type keywords behind it, and it'll pull up their name and whatever the keyword lines up with that and the whole tweet behind it. This guy is so off code, it's not even funny, to the point where I'm not even surprised now of what he said. This guy has a Karen fetish too. Not surprising. They pulled up some tweets that he made back in like 2014, 2013, saying or professing or confessing his lust, I should say, for PC women and a bunch of other shit. So when I saw that, I said, I'm not surprised. But FBA got on his ass, especially Tariq and Marcel. They stayed on his ass like white on rice. And that's just how it's going to be. That's just how it has to be. And speaking of Tariq, I was actually going to save this for the end of the stream. Make sure if y'all have Spotify, I think if you have Spotify, Tariq is going to be on DJ Academic's podcast on Monday. Well, I think they already recorded it, but it's not going to be released until Monday. And if you follow Tariq, he speaking of pull-up, he did a pull-up at DJ Academics, basically setting the record straight about FBA, because DJ Academics did a podcast or whatever with the Coonstress, and they brought up FBA, and of course, you know, she started going on her little tangent. He went on his little tangent, and then Tariq got wind of it, and he did a pull-up on DJ Academics to the point where they ended up doing a whole interview, and the interview is going to be posted on Monday. So I can't wait to see that and hear that. But like I said, if y'all follow Tariq on Twitter, then you got a little preview of it. But yeah, in a way, but back to Clarence Thomas, in a way, this is his karma as well. Because notice that none of the other SCOTUS came to his defense. They left him out there to hang dry, I should say. So he realizes that he is by himself. Like, I'm sure that Clarence Thomas got all kinds of threats. I'm almost certain of it. I mean, a lot of them already didn't like him enough as it is, but he literally cemented himself not in the non-likable meter range with this one. If I was him, I would have just kept my mouth shut. But yeah, let me move on to the next story. We got 3 more stories to go. Oh God. Let me disable this because they always say disable your ad blocker. Okay. So, as we all know, it is now in July, so that means quote unquote Pride Month is over. But it's not quite over for this one individual, this one drag queen, who was charged with 25 counts of CP. And they go by the name of Anastasia Diamond, but their real name is Bryce Williams. Let's look and see what they're talking about here. Bryce Williams, a local drag queen who counseled LGBT youth in Harrisburg, has been charged with downloading photos and videos of CP 2 years ago. Court documents said Williams, age 26, of Chambersburg, and shout out to Afro Elite B1, is charged with 25 counts of CP for at least 49 photos and 25 videos of naked prepubescent boys that the Pennsylvania Attorney General's office said he downloaded between May and December of 2020. I think it's safe to say why they did it, because we know what was going on in 2020, but that doesn't excuse the fact that this person is a goddamn creep. The sexually explicit content showed genitalia and boys performing sex acts on one another, sometimes with an adult man, as well as according to an affidavit of probable cause filed Thursday. Authorities said the boys were under 18 years old, but did not specify their ages. The affidavit said the photos and videos downloads were linked to Williams' email and home addresses. The pornography was also allegedly downloaded by someone under the username Anna D. The affidavit said Anastasia Diamond is Williams' drag queen persona. Williams sat down with Penn Live in July 2021, just before he was expected to work with the Glow Harrisburg, a center that offers a safe space for LGBTQ youth of color, to do HIV/AIDS prevention and awareness work with Academy Plus youth. Before Glow Harrisburg, Williams was an HIV medical caseworker for Keystone Health in Chambersburg. The LGBT Center for Central PA gave Williams the 2021 Rising Star Award. I feel as though this is so important because I know there are little kids like me who are queer, who are black, who are still not able to look up to anyone Williams told Penn Live last year. So that's the reason why I got into this line of work. Are you sure that's why you got into this line of work? Because some will say you got into this line of work because you wanted to be a freak. I wanted to make a big impact for folks in my community. Glow Harrisburg is a collaborative program from UPMC Central PA, Hamilton Health Center, and LGBT Center for Central PA. When investigators visited Williams' Chambersburg home Thursday, he said the 2 email addresses linked to the pornography were his. According to the affidavit, he also reportedly confirmed the phone number listed as the recovery number for one of the email addresses was his. The affidavit said the CP was also connected to a Comcast subscription that was registered under Williams' home address. At first, Williams denied downloading CP, but later said he first viewed CP in 2014 on a messaging app before moving to cloud-based storage apps like Dropbox, where at least 9 of the photos were found. Williams is charged with 1 count of criminal use of communication facility in addition to the 25 CP charges. Online records show Williams was arraigned Thursday afternoon and taken to the Franklin County Prison in lieu of a $100,000 bail. A preliminary hearing is scheduled for July 5th in the Magisterial District Judge Kristen Nicholas. There's a troll in the chat, and I don't know why people did not move to get them up out of here. Amazing that the Academy did not talk about this, considering that it happened or it got exposed during quote-unquote Pride Month. What were they doing? That's what I'd like to know. Karen Grant says you don't have to be in the Academy to be a pedo. Look at all the priests. Listen, I'm like this. If you do something like that to kids like that, you are most likely in the Academy. You just ain't real with yourself. But moreover, you're a straight up creep. Because you got to think about it. Those priests are inappropriately, they're touching boys, but they have the same anatomy. And see, this leaves a big stain on the Academy because there's always been a stigma that the Academy hosts a lot of perverts. And a lot of them try to fight back against and say no, it doesn't, but I'm going to be real with you. For the most part, it does. You have a perfect example right here. Now, what's crazy is I remember I did a video about that one who was working with Netflix. I forget his name. He was working with Netflix and he was like a dancer or something like that. And he was messing with the students and they were all minors. And I did some videos and follow-up videos about him, and he's in the Academy too. And like this person, he's black as well. My thing is, they have all the noise in the world to say how black people or the black community is the so-called most homophobic or this phobic and that phobic, but they don't want to talk about this right here. And like I said, what makes it interesting is that this got reported in June, their Pride Month. Many of you that's watching this right now probably didn't even know this was going on or that this happened. And for some of you might live in Pennsylvania and didn't know that this happened. You'll be amazed at what the stuff is happening that's right underneath your nose and you are unaware. But this person deserves everything that they get. And I hope they get indicted on all 25 charges. Something tells me they may not, but they should get indicted on the vast majority of them. If they get indicted on all of them, hey, kudos. But they definitely deserve some serious jail time for what they did. And put them in the men's prison. Don't try to be so lenient and say, oh, we need to, no. And I'm glad the article referred to this person by what they were born as and not as what they might identify as. But I'm sure because they were a drag queen and not a quote unquote trans, they still have to identify them as by the gender they were born as. Kazama Fury said, let's not forget the other perv inside the Academy that inappropriately touched Brandon Fraser and ruined Brandon's career. Yeah, I actually heard about that recently because I was always wondering, I'm like, whatever happened to Rick O'Connell, from The Mummy? Because I knew that was Brandon Fraser. I'm like, he was on top of the world at one point. And then all of a sudden he just stopped acting. And I'm like, did something happen that he did not want to act anymore? And then when I found that out, I was like, oh. So there it is. But like I said, they run Hollywood. If you're not willing to get down with the get down, as they say, you're out of there. And clearly he wasn't down with it, and they got him up out of there. And I think he's in the process now of trying to rebuild his career, because I know I've seen him pop up in a couple of things lately. So he's trying to rebuild his career, but you got to think that was years of lost opportunities because of what someone tried to make him do. He said his name was Philip Burke. See, I never knew the person's name. And now with all of this happening right here, and I'm glad that Gentleman Raider brought that up. You know, they keep trying to have that drag queen story time thing all the time. I said, now will y'all look into that? Because they're right there having direct access to your kids. I wouldn't be surprised if they asked this Bryce Williams, this Anastasia Diamond, could they come and read to their kids? I'm just saying. All right, so I only have 2 more stories left, and I'm trying to see what order I want to do them in. I'm going to do this one first. Now, this story right here is a very, very hard one to watch because this just happened. And that's the story with Jalen Walker. I'm going to tap to unmute this, and I'm going to play this audio. Let me see if I can make this widescreen.
That this happened and in such a manner, such a terrible, terrible way. That's why.
Jalen Walker's sister, Jada, and mother, Pamela, seeking answers to the early Monday morning police shooting of their son, whose only encounter with police before that was a speeding ticket.
I'm sick as a mother that it came to that. If they would have spent 5 minutes with him, it would never have ended that way.
Police say they tried to stop Walker for a traffic violation on East Talmadge Road, but he sped away. Police radioed to dispatch they heard shots fired from his car. A few minutes into the chase, Walker slowed his car on Wilbeth Road near the Bridgestone tire offices. He jumped out and ran, a gun later found in his abandoned vehicle. 8 police officers surrounded Walker in a parking lot and fired more than 90 rounds after Walker, according to police, made a threatening move. Walker suffered 60 wounds, according to an autopsy report. Several shots were fired after he was on the ground, sources tell 3 News.
Different parts of the videos capture officers trying to deploy their tasers unsuccessfully, and then the public's going to see officers discharging their firearm. As the pursuit goes on, other officers that are responding know that a firearm was discharged, and they believe during this pursuit that the officers had been fired upon.
The shooting drew a small protest outside the City of Akron Police Department.
Why would y'all do this? That's all I want to know. That's all we want to know.
Concerns the shooting might spark larger unrest led to the cancellation of the city's Rib, White, and Blue Festival, a July 4th celebration set to begin tomorrow. The Walker family's attorney, Robert DiCello, said the video captured by police will answer critical questions.
The video is going to tell most of the story. There have been some allegations that are very serious on both sides of this case that the video should have ready and able to be seen. So we applaud the chief for making those available to us, and we plan on seeing that very soon.
Mark Namick, 3 News.
All right, so that was the audio right there. Let me see if I can get this picture up. All right, so that's him right there. Jalen Walker, only 25 years of age. I have a feeling, actually I know, that this story has more holes in it than Swiss cheese. And when I say story, I'm talking about their story. And by there, I'm talking about the Akron Police Department. And like someone said in the chat, Ohio is an open carry state. Keep in mind, this is the same state where Tamir Rice was murdered. This is the same state John Crawford was murdered in. And now this is the same state that Jayland Walker was murdered in. They fired 90 shots. They fired 90 shots from their firearm, their gun. 60 of them hit him. 60. Which means he was still being shot at while he was already dead. Because there's no way anybody surviving those 60 shots. He was already dead. He probably could have been dead by or near shot number 10. Shot at 90 times, and 60 of them went into his body. Y'all can't tell me he was already dead or he wasn't dead by the time they stopped firing. When I first heard about this, Sean Bell came to mind. And we all know, if you are of a certain age, remember what happened with Sean Bell. Black man getting ready to get married the next day, leaving out of his bachelor party, quote unquote mistaken identity, and he gets shot up. All of the cops got off. I wouldn't be surprised if the same thing happens here. After all, they've already placed the terrorists on paid administrative leave. 8 of them. Now you gotta think, it was 8 terrorists that shot and killed this man. 8. And 8 of them shot 90 rounds between all of them, and out of the 96 hit. They basically unloaded their clips. They pretty much unloaded their entire goddamn clip, all of them, into this one man. Now, I believe they said somewhere where he appeared to look at them in a quote unquote threatening way. I remember reading somewhere a while back where they tried to get people on some shit like that. I forgot. I think it was called intimidation. I forgot what it was. It was some bullshit. Tahada said they reloaded and kept shooting. They had to have, because no gun has 60 rounds in it. They had to have continuously kept reloading and firing. Apparently to them, this one black man was a goddamn mutant, and he must have been invincible to the point where they felt like they had to take him out. This was an execution. I don't give a damn what they try to say or how they try to frame it. They executed him. I don't give a damn if they say there was a gun or not. Honestly, I don't even believe there was a gun. Because did you hear what they said? That the gun was recovered after he ran? First they said he shot at them. Then there was a gun recovered from the car. I don't believe there was a gun. And how many PC people have been who gotten in physical altercations or gotten in altercations where they shot at the police and they continue to live? Hell, we can just take it back to Buffalo back in May. That piece of shit walked in that store and shot and killed 10 black people and was taken in alive. Amazing how they fear for their lives when it comes to us, but they want to go by protocol when it comes to them. And the crazy part about it is they're more at risk dealing with their own than they're dealing with us, because with them, if they try to go by their protocol, they'll most likely take them out, at which I won't feel a damn thing about it anyway. Now, it said that they canceled their 4th of July celebrations and festivities for the weekend because they know if they release this this body cam footage, which they're going to have to, they know is going to kick some shit up. It might look like George Floyd Part 2. And you know what? If it comes to that, so be it. But this is definitely going to be one of those stories that I'm going to keep my eye on. Don't you see how we aren't safe anywhere? We ain't safe in our car. We not safe inside of a store. We not safe in a park. Hell, we're not even safe in our own damn homes. Look at what happened with Botham Jean. Look at what happened with that other black man who was asleep on the couch, and they bust in there and they shot him because allegedly he was going for his gun. Even if we're sleeping in the car, we're not safe. Done stories about that. But they want to try to say that there's no such thing as systemic racism. And of course, you're going to have the cop apologists that's going to get online and make excuses for them. One definitely comes to mind, and that's that goddamn Brandon Fakem. I already know he's probably either made a video by now talking his shit, or he's going to make one. He's definitely going to talk about it. This lines right up with his narrative. Black man dead at the hands of cops. And I already know the spin is going to come with him. That's why I don't feel bad when shit happens to them. Why should I feel some type of way? Again, if there are trolls in this chat, please get rid of them. One just came in here and just started spamming. So my mods, y'all got to be on it. If y'all have a wrench, y'all need to be on it with these trolls. But all eyes are going to be on Akron today. And then, of course, you know, people are asking, you already had PC saying this, is LeBron going to say anything? Is he going to say something? I don't know. And honestly, I almost don't care. Why are we waiting on him to say anything? He's either going to do or he's not going to do. Keep in mind what day is coming up a week from today. And I will make sure to highlight it next week. I'm not going to say it now. Many of you, some of you may know what day I'm referring to. Many of you may not, and that's understandable. I don't understand why, but it's understandable. When I think of stuff like this, this person comes to mind all the time. Like, this is some wild shit. It really is. But let me move on to this last clip or this last story of the day. And that's this one right here. And this is another one of those Roe v. Wade clips. But I want y'all to listen to what this person said. And I think their name is Dominique Morgan. And this is another one who's in Hall T. But listen to the bullshit, the filth that comes out of this person's mouth. And this shows you right here the enemy within. And shout out to King Covey313 for the dono. He says, thanks for the content, bro. B1 to you. But listen to this shit.
The number of young people, Black and brown young people who are in foster care and group homes, and the way those kids are treated at 18 and 19 is not pro-life. And so for us to remove the autonomy of people who can introspectively say, this is not the right time for me, this is not something I'm prepared for, and all the other reasons someone can make that choice to say, well, children deserve to be here, we'll figure it out later. We've had centuries to figure it out, and we are still seeing young people go from the juvenile system to the adult system. And I'm one of those young people. I happen to get an opportunity to get access to education and support, but there's so many folks like me who are in these facilities and never coming out. And they started in a group home or foster care. So we are really going to see the mass incarceration numbers rise due to this being overturned. And
did y'all hear that shit? Did y'all hear that last part this individual said? And this is a Hall team member, y'all. If y'all couldn't tell that this was a man by the way that they sounded, y'all need to get your hearing checked. This is a whole dude. I don't give a fuck. This person's response to the overturning of Roe v. Wade is that, or their solution to this, or the reason why that abortion should stick around, is because of the unfair advantages that Black, and I'm using their words, Black and brown youth will have. So in order to protect them from the unfair advantages of the world, let's just abort them so they won't have to deal with it. This is coming from a person that can't even have kids. This is coming from a person that will never have to bear children. Talking this nonsense. Your solution to this is to just abort the children, but preferably, and I'm gonna just say Black children. I wonder where they got that talking point from. Cry Loud Israel said how long I've been on for about, what time is it? For about an hour and a half. This is my last one, so I'm gonna be off in about maybe the next 5 to 10 minutes. This person, let me run it back a little bit, what this person said, just in case y'all missed it.
So we are really going to see the mass incarceration numbers rise due to this being overturned.
They said we're going to see the mass incarceration numbers rise due to this being overturned. So this person is already putting out there that Black children are going to literally be born, and from birth, they're going to head straight to prison. And the only way we can prevent the incarceration numbers from rising is to simply abort them. To the Black women out there, this is exactly why I said the Academy members are not your friend. Here you have this whole, as someone put in the chat, me talking this bullshit. This has got to be one of the worst takes I've heard on this topic since it became a topic of discussion. Let's just go ahead and get rid of it. And we know which children they're talking about, because when they talk about mass incarceration, they're not talking about every Black child as far as gender goes when they say Black boys and Black girls. When it comes to the mass incarceration rate, who's affected the most by that? Mainly Black males. So this person was subliminally saying, abort Black male babies. Where have we heard that before? And again, I have to reiterate, this is coming from someone who identifies as trans. See what I mean when I tell you that a lot of people in that academy have gotten so many benefits, or let me talk about the black ones for a second, that they feel like they have arrived. This is one of them right here. I've never heard this person a day in my goddamn life. And after this take, I don't want to hear a damn thing else they have to say. Please don't put them on my goddamn screen after this. Ty Banks said this is a goddamn linebacker. She is kind of, well, sorry. They are. He is built like, what's her face? Simone Sanders, aka linebacker built. BG said Margaret Sanger talking points. Margaret Sanger would be proud of this individual for saying this fuckery. Oh, my goodness. But anyway, that was the end of the stream. That was my last story right there. About to get up off of this thing and find me something to eat. I'm starving. But shout out to everybody that came through. Shout out to everybody who liked and shared and commented and all of that good stuff. Shout out to all the donos that came in. I really do appreciate it. Of course, tomorrow I will be back with my 2 videos of the day. I'm going back to just doing 2 videos every day and not doing the one thing on Saturday and Sunday because I have so much stuff to talk about. So I'll have my 12 p.m. and my 5 p.m. videos coming tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. Y'all enjoy the rest of your weekend. Y'all be safe. Y'all stay hydrated. Y'all stay cool. For those of you who are going to celebrate the 4th, and I'm just putting it out there because there might be some people that are, eat well, eat good, put some stuff on the grill. I know I am. I'm just being honest. But y'all be easy, and I will talk to you all later.